Tune in to Overcomers TV on your favorite app or streaming platform. It's time to overcome.
So I was working for another organization, and I was really looking for something that I could do that would make a difference. I've always believed that as believers that our careers have to be attached to our calling. And so I was looking for something where I could make a difference, and I saw an opening on Indeed, and I applied and didn't even think about it. It must have been like 3 in the morning. Did not even think about it for maybe 2 weeks. And so into the 2 weeks, I get a call from Chris. And he tells me right off the bat, listen, this is what we're looking for. We want you to come in, but let me tell you right off the bat that this is what we want. This is our mission. This is what we do. We save lives. And so I said, Chris, you don't need to sell me on the mission. I applied because I am that mission. And so just tell me when you need me, what days, what time, and I'll be there. So my role here now with EMC is as counselor and intake specialist. I get the opportunity to be the front desk person for EMC here in Brooklyn and in Queens. I meet the girls, I greet them, and I think it's so important because when they come in, they're coming in with so much trauma and afraid and grief and so much uncertainty. And so it's important that that first impact is made with love, it's made with grace, it's made to welcome them. So after they come in, I welcome them. I go into the intake process in a conversation, and not necessarily a form like a doctor's office or fill this out and we'll meet later. But sometimes they just need a cup of water. Sometimes they just need to breathe. Sometimes I've had girls that come in and just need a hug for a moment. And we talk about other things and then go into the intake process. And during that time, I'm assessing what their needs may be. I would say that I've narrowed it down to 2 lines: touching hearts and changing lives. And that's really what we do. I think we can't change a baby, we can't save a baby's life if we can't touch the heart of a mother. Sometimes even a father. I've had the privilege of sitting sometimes with both parents. Sometimes they're married, sometimes they're not. But if we don't bring in God's grace and invite him into every meeting and encounter that we have, he is the only one that can change hearts and change minds. We're just advocates. We're just tools that he uses. And so I believe that we change a baby, we save a baby by touching the hearts and the minds of the parents. So it's so beautiful because the way our system is designed and what we use to document and to take information from all of the clients really allows us to ask those questions. And so they think it's an intake process, but for us, it's really the beginning conversation of bringing in Christ into. So the minute that I ask them, what is your relationship like with God? It takes them into this thought process. Some of them even start crying. And they say, I believe in God. And I know that even my thoughts right now towards this baby are wrong. And so that conversation begins. And I can present to them God's purpose for their lives. How God is not mistaken. How God is a God of purpose and sovereign. And he knows all things. How even sometimes when they say, it's not the right time, I'm not ready. Letting them know that we are not in control of time. That time belongs to God. That we can only see the time right now, but God sees into our future. He has already seen them in this office. He has already seen their decisions. And he has already determined that the gift of life belongs to them. And so we talk about that. And that is my way of bringing Christ into the conversation. Oh, for me, it means everything. It means that I have to be the salt of the earth. So I'm the salt of EMC. I have to bring in flavor. I have to bring in joy. I have to bring in peace. I have to bring in that Selah moment of pause, even for the staff. Sometimes the staff just needs a Selah moment of just having a moment to breathe and kind of capture their thoughts. And because it's not just that we're working with the women that come in here, but it's also their personal lives that sometimes are being affected and they're putting on hold to deal with someone else's life. And so for me, being a disciple of Christ means that I am his hands, I am his feet, I am his mouthpiece. And I have to represent him in everything that I say and or do. There's so many ways to get involved. We need volunteers in every aspect. We need people who can help us minister to these women. We need people who will come out and say, I'll walk with you. You don't have to go through this process alone, because it's so easy for us to speak to them for a minute, but when they get outside back into their world, we don't know what the voices are that they're hearing. So we need volunteers that can give them a call at night, that can give them a text message. We need volunteers that maybe can start a fathering program and bring in men that will teach these men and can reach out to the fathers and get in contact with them. We need a circle of sisters that will come in and say, we got you. We got you. What do you need? You need diapers. You need counseling. You need therapy. You need someone to pray with you. You need someone to just listen. Let's go out to the park and just talk to our Father. We need volunteers of all kinds.
That's good. In-kind donations. Talk about the baby wipes, the diapers.
Oh, so we've been receiving donations in our main headquarters, which would be the Bronx. We can use blankets, we can use formulas, we can use baby wipes, we can use Pampers, we can use socks, we can use blankets, we can use everything and anything that you think your baby would need, we can use. And even for the mothers, sometimes, and this is going to sound crazy, but just sometimes a breastfeeding bra makes life so much easier to someone who can't afford one because they're so expensive. And so sometimes we have mothers and we want to encourage them to bond with their baby through breastfeeding, and even sometimes getting that, just the right garment to help them can be expensive. So even those donations would come in handy. How can I not? My first daughter came from a rape. And I was 17 going on 18. I did not know how it was going to turn out. I did not know anything. I didn't have answers. But I knew that I loved God. I knew that this life was given to me by God. And I knew that I had to keep it and answer back to God. So I didn't know where I was going. The church turned their back on me and told me that I was an embarrassment to the congregation. My parents, my mother put me out in the street. My dad brought me back home. And so that's why sometimes men are so needed in the home, and men are so needed. But it was my father who brought me back. And my mom eventually became okay with it, and was a huge supporter for me in the time to come. But I knew that there was a purpose in that life, and that little girl back then is now 38 years old and has given me 3 amazing grandchildren, and she's an amazing woman of God. When I had my 3rd daughter after marriage, the doctors told me that I should not carry her, that I needed to abort her, that she would be deaf mute, that she would be incapacitated, and all that after 3 amniocenteses. And I decided that I was going to trust God, and I decided that if God gave her to me, then I would carry her life through. And that if he ever took her from me, I would give her back to him, probably screaming and crying and kicking, but that if he gave her to me with life, I would carry her through. Today, she is an amazing young woman. She's neither deaf nor mute. She is amazing in mathematics. She plays every instrument that she gets her hands on, plays ball, does just about everything, loves to travel, goes everywhere. And I'm just grateful. I am grateful that I chose to believe God. I am grateful that I chose to listen to the voice of God. That sometimes is very quiet deep inside of you, and you have to take some time alone to just listen to it and shut off all the other voices that will tell you the opposite of what God is saying. I guess I just want to say that if you've been looking for a work to get involved in, that if you're looking for something to do, the whole Roe versus Wade this is just the beginning of it. The real work is on the field, and the real work is saying, I want to come and be a part. How can I help? There will always be something to do. Find an organization that you can reach out to. Start something in your church. Maybe you want to start a supporting mother's ministry. Maybe you want to start a supporting father's ministry. Maybe you want to be there and just provide a group of counseling and a grief support for the women who have had abortions, so that we can reach them and heal them and teach them how to be mothers and support them as women and develop women of God, and a group that will help to support the fathers and teach these young men how to be men of God. And the more men that we can get into our churches, we can get them into our schools with our children, we can get them to stand up in our communities, and our communities can make a huge turnaround if we can get men of God to stand up.
Celebrate what Jesus is doing throughout the nation and rise up to answer his call on your life. To serve the poor, heal the broken, free the captives, and bring joy to those in need. Find hope, encouragement, and motivation through Overcomers TV. This inspiring network features everyday people and ministries across America who are putting God's love in action. Tune in to Overcomers TV on your favorite app or streaming platform. It's time to overcome.